The world would be a beautiful place if everybody was just happy and got along, but unfortunately, the latest figures tell us 1 in 3 people are miserable. Have a look at the person on either side of you, because if they look happy, it's probably you. Go on, check them out thoroughly. I love this jacket because it really captures what I'm all about. I'm a happiness educator. I love people to laugh as much as humanly possible. And the problem for all of us today is that we're just not laughing enough. We start out okay at around 4 months of age. We're like this. How wonderful is that sound? By the time a child reaches grade 1, they're laughing on average 300 times a day. And yet as adults, we manage to laugh just 17. So what happens on our road to maturity that so detrimentally impacts our sense of humour? One of the reasons is because children live in the moment. They don't have time to think about what's happening this afternoon, tonight or tomorrow. It's only the here and now. As adults, with responsibility becomes the need to look into the future. And we end up getting so often throwing ourselves forward, thinking about tonight, tomorrow, the next day, that we miss all of the valuable moments that are right in front of us. We miss the bright side of life sometimes, not because it isn't there, because there are things put in front of us every single day that will solicit this positive chemical response. Rather, it's because the world today is moving at an incredibly rapid pace. Is it little wonder that even the most gifted of people, like all of you in this room, end up losing your sense of direction, while for the rest of us it just becomes a downhill slide to the bottom? So the question we must ask ourselves on a daily basis is, how can we stop ourselves from going crazy in this modern, fast, hectic world? Ladies and gentlemen, we do just the opposite of what most people do. We try to drive ourselves happy. And the way we can do that is using the most powerful weapon we have at our disposal, and that, of course, as you all know, is the human brain. The human brain takes up 2% of our body weight, 98% of our function, and incredibly it uses 20% of our energy. And that's because it's processing 400 billion bits of information every single second. Now, we only recognise the first 2,000 consciously, roughly, to do with our common senses of hearing, touch, smell, but everything else still gets stored up there, and that's why you can hear a piece of music and suddenly be transported back 40 years to the back seat of the car or wherever you were, and it seems as vivid as if it was just yesterday. Every positive and negative element that we experience in life gets stored up here and can be triggered by outside negative and positive elements. So we've got to try and encourage ourselves to receive as much positive influence as possible if we want to live a life that has a positive bias. Right in the middle of the brain there is a small gland. If you could take off your hair, and some of you have already done that, well done for thinking in advance. If you could take off the top of your head, unscrew it, look inside, first thing you'd see is the cortex, the grey matter. You'd then go down in through the brain, and in the middle is where you'd find the hypothalamus. It's about the size of a green garden pea, that's all. And from the moment you're born till the moment you die, it beats in conjunction with your heart. Inside here are all the chemicals that make you feel up, down or indifferent. And the one we're talking about today is the endorphin, the happiness hormone. And the experts tell us that endorphins are up to 4 times as powerful as stress hormones, such as cortisol and adrenaline. So we've got to try and get endorphins going through our body as quickly as possible and as often as possible. How would you rather feel? Would you rather feel like this, or would you rather feel like that? It all comes down to how we handle stress. Stress is defined as the human body's reaction to a real or perceived threat. It's up to us to recognise when we're getting stressed, and that's a real difficult thing. Here's one thing I want you to remember. S equals P greater than R. Stress occurs in your life when the pressure that is placed upon you is greater than the resource you have at your disposal. So if you've got a project, if you've got something you've got to do and you feel the pressure, look at the resource. And if you don't have the resource, don't try to do it on your own. Pull in the resources and you will reduce your stress. A lot of people say it's work that stresses me out, and if I didn't have to work, life would be so much easier. But that, my friends, is a lie. It's not the work that stresses us out. It's the balance between work and life that we get out of kilter. Mark Twain said that we only work in life so we may have life outside of work. And that's what we tend to forget. We are all very compassionate people. We want to do our very best for the people we deal with, and it sometimes all becomes about the work. And when it does become about the work, as admirable as it is, you start to have a deficit in your own life, and it starts to have a detrimental impact on you, your families, and of course, in the end, it has a detrimental impact on the work that you do.